think we're recording. Episode whatever, Blue Light Banter, me and G-Man in the house.
Hi everyone.
Today we're going to go over the Bleep test, because we were actually having a bit of an in-depth conversation about it earlier, so I thought, why not do a little podcast on it? Because everybody wants to know probably thoughts, feelings and all that sort of stuff on Bleep tests, and probably how you can actually improve your Bleep test. But before we kind of go into that, we just wanted to mention the fact that we have a circle group, which basically has nutrition, training for the Bleep test. It has training programs. It's currently $7.99 a month, which is, so if you're going to listen to this in like November, it might not be, but currently in September it is $7.99 a month. And we have started our Blue Light Blast off in October, which is an 8-week intense group coaching fat loss program where actually the main man that will be taking you through it is Graham. So
Nice. And as for the private group, see for anyone watching this and maybe struggling with the Bleep test, it's a group you really want to be a part of because you've got 3 coaches in there that have actually been through it. They've been in a job, they've been through all the fitness tests really. Emma, you were in firearms, so you've been through a lot more sort of harder tests, shall I say, than what we went through. But you've everything that you need to know to be doing to pass the fitness test, to absolutely ace it, is in there. So it's definitely somewhere you want to be, and it's other people that are doing the exact same thing as well, people that are going through the same sort of process.
Well, that section in the group was written by me, and I was a running coach in the army, so take that as it will get you past. But there's nothing like out of the ordinary in there. But we'll go through kind of like thoughts about the Bleep test. So what's kind of like your thoughts about it, G-Man?
Are you allowed to bleep it out if I say it's a lot of shite? It's terrible. It's really, really bad. When I joined, it used to be a 1.5 mile run in I don't know how many minutes because they got rid of that when I was joining. So when I joined, went through all the recruitment process, it was just a Bleep test. But it was 9.2 for males and 7.4 for females. And that seemed like a good level to get to. I thought it'd be difficult. I worked my ass off to get there, but I passed, and everyone else that passed were in good shape. They were good, competent cops that you knew would have your back.
What did you do to prep for it?
To prep for it, so I would still go to the gym as I was at that time, but after each workout, I would do a 10-minute jog on the treadmill, not too heavy. I would be going maybe about a 7 out of 10 in terms of intensity, and I would just go for 10 minutes. And then the next time I would try and do it a little bit harder for 10 minutes, and etc. etc. But after my 10-minute jog, I would do sprints on the treadmill. So I would put the speed all the way up and to the point where I'm still on it safely without falling off it, and just see how long I could do my sprints for, and before I had to jump off to the side. And then I would put it down to a walking pace and then do the same, but I would do that for 5 or 6 rotations, and then I'd go into the wee studio after that and do sprints back and forth, so I could work on my turns and turn properly. That's what I did to prepare. I know a lot of people like to actually do the proper Bleep test, but that has everything in it that I needed. I had the jogging down for 10 minutes, so I knew I had the endurance to last 10 minutes, whatever I had to. I had the sprint sides down, so I knew that when it gets to the higher levels, I could get from that bit to that bit before it bleeps again. I knew I could physically do that because I was working on my speed as well. And then the turning side was just common sense. You want to make sure you can turn safely, especially when you start to go faster. So it just seemed the right kind of thing to do. I wasn't a PT at that point or anything. I built that myself. That's what I chose to do, but it worked.
And this is the thing, isn't it? Like I don't know about. I don't think you or Greg have put it on, but definitely on my Instagram, I've literally just given like an idiot's guide to passing the Bleep test. Like it's not hard. You don't have to kind of go into it as much depth as you did, but I just expect if you apply for the police and you go, my application is going in for the police. People might be running after me with knives. I am going to go and fucking run. I'm going to go to the gym and run on a treadmill. Do you know, or practice the bleep test. You don't just turn up and not practice it and just, then have a cry about it on social media because you haven't passed it, because you haven't tried, you haven't practiced, you haven't done anything to prepare for it. You prepared for it. I was prepared for it just because I was in the army anyway, so I was already naturally fit. I could run a mile and a half in 8 minutes 30, so I knew that a 5.4 bleep test, I could probably do it sliding on my arse, to be honest. So it was just a 9.4 I never struggled with either, even when I was really unfit. But I can tell you now, as soon as you put weight on, it becomes harder. Like, you can imagine like running now and then running with a 20-pound rucksack on your back. It's going to be harder. So that's what kind of putting the weight on is. But what do you think about the 5.4? Well, it's actually 3.7 now. If you
I heard that. So it was down south, I think, mostly are rolling that out. It's not quite reached Scotland yet, but I'm sure it will. I think it's shit. I really do. I know why they're saying they're lowering it to that. Like they must have. I think that I read somewhere they hired some expert to come in and say what the minimum standards should be for someone just to wear the armour and walk. And that's not taking into account anything in terms of physical activity that you'll actually have to do other than that. If you're chasing MD, if you're on a rollabout and actually need to keep control of somebody for even a minute while you're waiting on somebody turning up, like that, none of that's taken into account. I think 5.4 alone was quite poor, to be honest. Never mind anything lower than that. I think if MD's in the job and they're struggling, then now with 5.4, they need to get their act together. They're a danger to themselves and their colleagues in reality.
Especially if you're front line though. Like if you're CID in an office, then fair enough. Like go and do your 3.7. That's absolutely fine. But if you're ever going to front line, ever, or you're thinking about going back, 110%, you need At the end of the day, there's no point moaning about it. You chose the job. You got to be fit for it. Like I would never, ever think that it was acceptable to fail it. And another thing, I wouldn't ever think that, I wouldn't just moan about it. I'd be mortified. I would be like, am I going to be able to keep myself safe, my oppo safe, my team safe, if I can't fucking run between combs for 3.5 minutes? It's 3.5 minutes, isn't it?
Is that what it is? 3.5 minutes now?
And this is why, like, this whole, when people are like, yeah, I'm doing couch to 5k to practice the bleep test, and I'm like, why? Why are you running for anything over than like 7 minutes? Like, you don't need to run for 25 minutes. It's not going to make you faster on your bleep test. You need to practice a bleep test. You need to do intervals for like 5 to 7 minutes. You need to, go, the slower paced runs no longer than 10 minutes. Like, just things like that. It really, really helps. And resistance training. I don't know why people think that, I'm just going to focus on running because my bleep test is coming up. I'm going to focus. And I'm like, well, you're neglecting all the strength because running is a full body exercise, really. And people just neglect the strength with regards to it. And it absolutely baffles me. So I think I'm a big believer if you chose a job, you need to be ready for it. You need to be able to protect yourself and those around you. And the bleep test, if you can't pass a 5.4 bleep test, how do you expect to do that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I went off on a bit of a rant there, I know, but...
No, it's a tough one not to rant about though. If you're on a job and you try and keep fit because you know that you need to in our line of work, or old line of work I should say now, as of last week for me. But you do you do absolutely need to stay fit. You don't know what you're going to walk into. Your neighbour might need you in another side of the street. By the time you get there, you want to still have a bit of puff about you, or you want to even get there in the first place. Never mind. I just can't stand the lowering of the fitness tests is resulting in and it's going to sound quite harsh, but it's a lower standard. People that are coming in now as well. You're getting folk that are coming into the shift and they're struggling because they're just overweight. And the good thing is for them, like it's something they can fix. It's not something that they need to keep to. If they're in the job, they're happy with being in a job, and they know that they need to work on that, and they definitely should be working on it. If anyone watching this knows that you're struggling with just 5.4 at least, do something about it. You should be doing something about it, and you can. That's the thing. You absolutely can.
I mean, you've got, yeah, there's so many things you can do that you know, there's actually practicing it. There's, you know, getting a program together. If you're struggling with eating and you think you're a little bit overweight, it really does help. Losing weight does help. And if you don't know how to put any of those three things together, you probably need to invest in a coach, whether it's a blue light coaching coach like me, G-Man, Greg. I wouldn't go with any other emergency service coach because they're all fucking shit. So, and they overcharge you as well. Whereas actually we don't, because we love what we do.
I like that. The only reason we know they overcharge is because people have moved over from other police coaches to us, so we know their pricing.
So many people,
It's crazy.
and they've actually said the service is like much better, like, and that's just because we care.
Aye,
Um,
you've got your personalised one-to-one with either one of us free, and then you've got the private group as well, which if you're one-to-one client, you get free access to. So you've got all of our clients together in one community, sharing wins, talking about our favourite recipes. Like if you're stuck with anything, you always have your coach to ask anyway, but you can ask in the group as well, or help other people if you know the answers. It's good. It's really good. It's turn
yeah,
it into a wee community.
yeah, but I've got people with me now that are still in training, and that's who I really like. I properly, obviously, I respect everyone that signs up with me, but I'm like, I've got a proper respect for people like that because they're the people that are like, look, I know I'm going to need to be fit for the job. I know I'm going to need help when I get to the job. I just really want to be an asset to my team, and I think that is fucking phenomenal. But coming onto it as well, though, do you think that the Bleep test is an accurate test? Because, you know,
Yeah, probably not. I mean, it's a good indication of as to whether or not you'd be able to keep your breath by the time you run up maybe a flight of stairs or something like that. Well, not even because it's all flat. um, the in reality, it'd be good to have an obstacle course of some sorts, but there's no space for that. East Kilbride, you seen the size of the hall. You wouldn't have seen the size of the hall in East Kilbride's police centre, but it's not worth. It's not big enough for that. But I think an obstacle course would have been pretty cool, and it'd have been fun to do as well, rather than a bleak test. But nah, I don't think it's. I think it's good to test your endurance, but nah, it's not a good reflection on how you actually cope in the job. Um, Not only in terms of just being able to run up hills and run upstairs, but by the time you actually get there and face whatever you need to face when you get there, they don't really test you on how you will handle yourself, and I think that's a huge part as well.
I think even something, yeah, like an obstacle course would be great. I used to find them so fun in the army, they were great. But I think that for injury probably prevention, something like, you know, like running in kit, like running like probably like an 400-meter loop in kit. Because let's be honest, there's very little foot chases that will last beyond 400 meters. Well, for most people, because they're usually blowing by 100 meters. Um, but yeah, a 400-meter looping kit, coming in, like grabbing a sandbag and doing like box step ups on a beep or something like that. I think it'd just be a much better indicator, and having
Yeah,
to kind of do your 400 meters in a certain time or something like that, and then running at the end just because I'd just like to be, but the army in me comes out. Um, but I had, like, no word of a lie, with the last foot chase I ever had with when I was on firearms. So bearing in mind I had a lot more kit than just a regular person. 4 miles.
well,
I kept up with him. 4 miles. My watch, honestly, I had 12,000 steps, and it was 4 in the morning. I literally just sat there for the rest of the day. But to 4 miles, so if you can't run 5.4 in 3.5 minutes, so you're going to keep up for a 4 mile foot chase. And he had a knife, so try and deal with that when you grab hold of him. Um,
Aye.
if you just kind of got to put it into perspective, because I think these people that are joining now just don't realise actually these are real people's lives that you're dealing with. You don't.
Mm.
It's not just a fuck about show. It's people want to hurt you now, like genuinely want to hurt you, and it's just it's a mad world. And I think the bleep test needs to change to reflect all the stuff that's kind of happening now.
Absolutely.
What did I? Oh, we answered what should we do instead. And then we've kind of gone over fitness in the police, but what do you think kind of people can do to, even if they're thinking that they're struggling with their fitness a bit and they're in the police, what do you think is kind
Yeah.
of a good,
Yeah.
even if they don't want to reach out to a coach, for example?
Yeah, well, if they didn't want to reach out to a coach, my first suggestion would be to try and work out what it is that you're eating. There's plenty of websites out there that can help people sort of identify what a sufficient deficit is to start off with. Granted, it's not accurate, it's not 100% accurate. That's where the coach comes in to try and tweak things about as we go. But I would try and get yourself on a calorie deficit. If you're out of shape, you know that you're overweight. Maybe you've checked your stats on the NHS website, and you're like classed as either overweight or obese, whatever it might be. Then you should be doing something about it. So start off by working out what a suitable calorie deficit is, and then try and build your way into it. You might not be able to hit the ground running with it. You might be starving a wee bit, but do something in terms of your eating, because that's where the majority of the problems will lie. And then secondly, get into resistance training. When it comes to losing fat, and I've had this debate a lot with some clients in the past, and it's clients that will want to just go for maybe a run and stuff, or go for these sort of exercise classes and things instead of going in and lifting weights. But when it comes to losing fat, you're wanting to do some resistance training as well. Get into the gym and build muscle tissue. It's an active tissue. If you build more muscle tissue, it burns more calories at rest, and it will actually help you on your fat loss journey, rather than going into a HIIT class, for example, and burning all all the carbs that you've ate that day. You're still on a deficit. You're going to feel quite hungry later. You'll be knackered. It just baffles me. So I would suggest, I've kind of went on a bit of a rant, but I would suggest finding out a suitable calorie deficit for you and getting into the gym, doing some resistance training, and overall just get activity levels up. If you're tracking steps and you're only getting like 2,000 steps a day because maybe you're office based, try and up that a bit at a time. You don't need to go straight from 2,000 to 10,000 a day or anything, but try and work your way up gradually to about 8,000 to 10,000 a day. You'll notice a huge difference, not just in your body, your physique when you're burning fat, but your energy levels. When you're doing that, you just feel a lot more energetic overall. Sorry, I
And
went
do
on
you
a bit of
think
a tangent there, but
that's good? No, it's really good advice. So that is exactly like the advice that somebody needs to take on board. Um, and what I would say to people is like, don't overtrain. Like, don't think that you can go into the gym for like 6 days a week, because a 6 day split is not achievable in the police. So if you're applying for the police and listen to this, or it's prior to, or you're in the police, this 6 day split nonsense needs to go out the window. Because, like, if you're one of these people that does go to exercise classes, and you're doing it every single day, one, you're going to knock yourself out. You're going to increase you'll get a massive increase in a stress hormone called cortisol, and then you'll just step on the scales every day and just be disappointed, just because it causes that kind of, it causes like temporary weight gain almost. Um, it's not fat weight gain, it's just a stress hormone. But actually, you're just putting stress on your body, unnecessary stress. Whereas actually, we could go 3 times a week, get in, get out, make loads of progress, and lose weight. Do you know what I mean? So, and just look better, look more athletic. You only have to go onto any of our social medias to see the fact that we practice what we preach. That we take numerous people through this, and they come out the other side. And actually, I've got every one of my clients to pass the bleep test.
Yeah.
Right, it's like I know what I'm doing. Um, but
Yeah,
it's
you're spot on.
just, yeah, it's just people just overtrain, don't they, mate?
Yeah, it's the same way. The muscle building clients as well. The ones that want to just get a bit, they're not fat. They've not got a lot of fat on them. They just want to get bigger, maybe, but they want to maybe put on some lean muscle. And they think that because they want to build muscle, they need to train 6 days a week as well. I've been I used to train 6 days a week before I joined the police. I tried to keep it up when I was on response. I couldn't do it. It's not achievable. And I was just burst all the time. And I've been training 4 times a week consistently for a while now, and it works. It works perfect. I've got more rest time. My muscles are got plenty of time to recover, which means I can hit them just as hard the next time I go in. It's all win-win. I get more rest times and I'm bigger.
I'm exactly the same as you. I used to train 6 days a week, and now I'm 4 days a week. But the I remember when I was in police college, I managed to keep up the 6 days a week facade through some fucking form miracle. Um, but I remember training twice a day. Like I used to in the army, I used to train 3 times a day. Yeah, that's
Wow.
unhealthy. But I used to train twice a day. I used to go in the morning, do my cardio. Whether that be, I used to train with the people that used to take us through like staff safety, all that PSU stuff. I used to go and train with them and do a circuit, so it was like my cardio. Or if they weren't doing a circuit, I'd go and do some sprints or a run, some interval training or some sort every day. It's not good for you. I would recommend if you're going to do that every other day or twice a week or something. Um, and then in the evening, I used to go and do push pull legs.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
Lot, innit? It's a lot. But that was army mindset.
Yeah.
Now I'm very much. I'll do my steps. I'll go and train 4 times a week. I'll probably do some form of interval training twice a week, but only for 10 minutes. I won't do it. I don't really. If people haven't got the time to do it, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're losing out. I just think it will help me build my stamina for lifting weights, because sometimes when you run out of gas when you're lifting weights, it's not your strength that's gone, it's your stamina that's gone.
Yeah.
So that's just trying to keep that up really and improve it a little bit.
Aye.
So
Absolutely. And the good news for anybody watching is that you don't need to do your army regime to get into shape. After hearing that, I'm sure they'll think, you know what, 2 days in the gym a week and just watch what you eat. That sounds much better. I can definitely do that.
I've made all the mistakes for you to not make them. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I went from literally the fittest person that I could ever be from the army to being really unhappy with myself when I was in the police. And it was just after my IFC course, like my firearms course, I noticed I ordered these size 10 pair of trousers. They did not do it. I could still pass my bleep test and stuff. I was absolutely fine. But these trousers would not do up. I was like, oh my god, how am I not a size 10? Like, but when I think about it, I was eating almond croissants every day. I was coming home drinking cider every night just because I hated it. I absolutely hated my firearms course. It was so stressful. And I was just feeding my stress with fucking food. Self-sabotage, really.
Which is quite
And
common in
then,
the Dov.
yeah. But you just don't. I didn't realise I was doing it for like 15 weeks, and then it was at the end of it that I was like, I need to sort my shit out. And I reached out to Greg. That was when, and I was just like, I need just someone to help me do this around shifts, because I have all the knowledge in the world as a PT, but I know that I am nowhere near where I used to be, and actually in the best shape of my life now than I ever was. Like, I'm not cardio fit. I'm not like as cardio fit as I was in the army, but like physically to look at, I don't need to be. I sit at a desk and get people happy with themselves again. Do you know what I mean? But it's Yeah, it's definitely training for what we can do, like within the time that we have, and actually not overtraining for what we are training for. Why are we running 5k for a 5.4 bleep test at less 3.5 minutes? Like, we don't need to be doing that. So I've made all the mistakes for you.
That's it. That's it. So there you go. A few good takeaway points. Don't make your mistakes.
Best thing I ever did was turn into an alcoholic and I eat too many almond croissants. Because I wouldn't be here now if I wasn't.
There you
Um,
go.
but
I'm sure plenty of people watching know as well that have the same sort of comfort foods. They'll finish off a shift, they'll go home, they'll have a few beers or maybe a couple of glasses of wine and a few snacks just to get over the fact that the shift was shit.
it's just kind of replacing that, isn't it? Well, I mean, we're going into the realms of self-sabotage now, but which we actually did a podcast on. I think that was episode 4. I want to say.
It was near the start, I think.
Yeah, but it's always good to try and replace those kind of habits with other things, and just remember in the back of your mind that you're still a police officer. You do have things to pass, like you do. Just replacing things by going out for a walk instead of eating a sheer bag of Doritos.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. I love Doritos. But anyway,
But there you go.
we spoke for 26 minutes about bleep test.
I know, yeah, it's a lot longer than a bleep test lasts anyway. But nah, it's the takeaway points are if you're out of shape and you can't physically pass even just 5.4 and you're on the front line, do something about it. And if you're wanting to join, you should be aiming for way higher than 5.4 anyway. So do something about it. You can do something about it. So why aren't you? That's my takeaway point from this.
100%. But if you have any questions about anything that we spoke about, you can message us on Instagram or Facebook. Instagram's probably better. Or if you want to join the circle group, again, just message us on Instagram. The links are in our bios anyway at the top, so you can have a kind of look at what's on offer with the Blast priority list and the circle group. But always a pleasure.
Yeah. Stay safe, guys.